Welcome to Copilot Podcasts, a video predicting the biggest AI shifts of 2026, backed by research from Gartner, Forrester, and Deloitte, sat on YouTube with just 40 views. 40. And yet the predictions inside it are the kind that could reshape how you work, how businesses operate, and how entire governments think about technology. Today, we're unpacking that video, what it says about agentic AI taking over daily workflows, why Forrester thinks AI is about to become as unremarkable as electricity, and what Gartner is warning about governance and ethics. By the end of this episode, you'll understand not just what's coming with AI, but why the platform this video lives on has itself become a front row seat to that transformation. My co-host has been deep in this. Let's get into it. What are we actually dealing with here?
So the video is from Ted Dean. He's an Australian AI coach and the founder of something called AI Masters Dojo. He posted it on December 9th, 2025, and the whole premise is that a new wave of expert analysis from Gartner, Forrester, and Deloitte points to 2026 being a genuine turning point for AI, not just in tech, across every major industry.
And when you say turning point, what does that actually mean in concrete terms? Because that phrase gets thrown around a lot.
Right, it's easy to be skeptical of that framing, but the video breaks it down into 3 really specific predictions, and each one comes from a different major research firm. So it's not just one person's hot take, it's a convergence of institutional analysis.
Okay, walk me through them.
The first one is from Deloitte, and it's about what they call agentic AI. The idea is that AI stops being a tool you prompt and starts being something that actually reshapes your daily workflows autonomously. It's not just answering questions, it's taking actions, making decisions, completing tasks end to end.
So less like a calculator and more like a colleague who just does things.
Exactly. And that's a pretty significant mental shift for most people. We're used to AI as something reactive. Agentic AI is proactive. Deloitte's argument, as Ted Dean frames it in the video, is that this is already happening in early signals across business and government.
What's the second prediction?
Forrester's take is maybe the most counterintuitive one. They predict that AI becomes a standard business commodity by 2026, which sounds like good news on the surface, but think about what that actually means. When something becomes a commodity, the competitive advantage disappears. Everyone has it. The edge goes to whoever uses it best, not whoever has it.
That's a really interesting reframe. It's like saying the internet.
네, 제가 돈을 지불을 제가 좀 며칠 있다가 할 테니까 제가 몸이 좀 안 좋은 게 있어갖고 거기 있는 엽산 있잖아요, 엽산. 엽산이요? 엽산하고 몇 개 빼놨거든요. 여기다 놔줄 테니까 내가 돈을 마련해서 지불하고 가져갈게요. 여기다 놓고 왔어요.
Became a commodity, having it stop being special, but knowing how to use it for your specific business still mattered enormously.
That's a great analogy. And the video makes a similar point. The goal isn't to be impressed by AI anymore, it's to build real capability with it. Ted Dean's whole pitch with AI Masters Dojo is practical training, not hype, which is kind of the thesis of the video itself.
And the third prediction, that's Gartner's?
Yeah, and this one is the most sobering. Gartner is focused on sovereignty, ethics, and governance pressures. As AI becomes more embedded in critical systems, government, healthcare, finance, the demand for oversight and accountability is going to intensify. The video references futurists like Bernard Marr and researchers like Fei-Fei Li as people who see major disruptors on the horizon tied to exactly this.
So it's not just AI is coming, it's AI is coming and the rules around it are going to get a lot more complicated.
Precisely. And that's actually consistent with what we're seeing on YouTube itself as a platform. The search results I was looking at show that YouTube's own policy pressure around AI, kids' safety, elections, and health misinformation is rising. Stricter enforcement, not looser rules, especially if your content touches news, politics, or health. That's from a LinkedIn analysis by Shubro Meiti, a YouTube and Meta growth strategist.
Wait, so the platform that hosts this video about AI governance is itself dealing with AI governance issues?
It's almost poetic, right? The predictions in the video are playing out in real time on the very platform the video lives on.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second because I think there's a bigger context here that's worth establishing. This video had 40 views when it was posted. 40. And yet we're talking about it. What does that tell us about how YouTube actually works or used to work?
It tells us a lot, actually. And this is where the platform story gets really interesting. For years, YouTube's recommendation engine rewarded a very specific set of behaviors: optimize your metadata, maintain good retention, keep your click-through rate healthy. Gaming, it was possible, even common. A video with 40 views from a channel with 42 subscribers, under the old system, that's essentially invisible.
So the old YouTube would have buried it.
Almost certainly. But on January 14th, 2026, Google did something it hadn't done since 2012. It replaced the entire foundation of YouTube's recommendation system. According to Vismo's analysis from May 2026, out went the old metric chasing model. In came Gemini AI, a system that watches videos the way a human does, understands what they're actually about, and rewards creators based on whether viewers leave genuinely satisfied.
That's a massive shift. So it's not about how long people watch anymore?
Exactly. The primary goal shifted from maximizing watch time to maximizing viewer satisfaction. And the way the algorithm understands content shifted from title, tags, and description to frame-by-frame AI analysis of the actual video. It's reading the content itself, not just the labels you put on it.
Okay, that's wild. So a video that's genuinely useful, even with 40 views, could theoretically get pushed wide if those 40 viewers left satisfied?
That's exactly the implication. And there's another piece of this that's huge for small creators. According to Vismo's breakdown, small channels shifted from being disadvantaged to getting equal seeding, where viewer behavior decides reach, not subscriber count. That's a fundamental power shift.
So Ted Dean's video, with 42 subscribers and 40 views, is actually a perfect test case for the new system.
It really is. And I think that's one of the most interesting things about this whole story. The video about AI's future is itself subject to AI's new rules on the platform it lives on.
Let's talk about what else changed in the algorithm, because I think there are some details here that are genuinely surprising.
Yeah, so one of the more counterintuitive ones is what Vismo calls the good abandonment rule. Early exits from a video used to always be a negative signal. The algorithm punished you for it. Now, early exits are judged as good or bad based on context. If someone got what they needed and left satisfied, that's fine. It's not automatically a strike against you.
That actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it. If I search for how to fix something specific and I find the answer in 90 seconds and leave, that's a win, not a failure.
Exactly. And the comment section changed too. It's no longer about raw volume of comments. The algorithm now does sentiment analysis. Toxic comment sections actually get penalized, which is a pretty significant incentive for creators to foster healthier communities.
Huh. So the platform is essentially saying, we don't just want engagement, we want good engagement.
That's a clean way to put it. And it connects back to the broader AI governance conversation in Ted Dean's video. Gartner's point about ethics and accountability isn't just about governments regulating AI, it's about platforms self-regulating too. YouTube is making choices about what kind of content ecosystem it wants to build.
There's also something worth noting about the scale of what's at stake here. Because YouTube isn't just a video platform, it's an economic engine.
The numbers are staggering. According to YouTube's own 2024 impact report, supported by Oxford Economics Research, YouTube's creative ecosystem contributed over $55 billion to the US GDP in 2024 and supported the equivalent of 490,000 full-time jobs. And between 2021 and 2023, YouTube paid more than $70 billion to creators, artists, and media companies.
$70 billion. That's not a hobby platform.
Not even close. And YouTube CEO Neil Mohan said in the 2024 report, and I'm quoting here, "The creator economy is just getting started. We're excited to see what our next 20 years have in store." So when the platform makes a fundamental algorithmic change, it's not just a technical update, it has real economic consequences for hundreds of thousands of people.
Which makes the January 2026 Gemini AI update even more significant. This isn't just about who goes viral, it's about livelihoods.
Absolutely. And there's a creator angle here that I think is really underappreciated. YouTube's July 2025 monetization update, this is from Shubro Mati's LinkedIn analysis, renamed repetitious content to inauthentic content. Mass-produced spammy AI content won't be monetized, but value-adding reaction or commentary content, that remains eligible.
So they're drawing a line between AI that replaces genuine human insight and AI that supports it.
That's exactly the distinction. And it maps directly onto what Ted Dean is arguing in his video, that the goal isn't to be dazzled by AI, it's to build real capability with it. The platform and the prediction are pointing in the same direction.
Let me push back on something, though, because there's a version of this story where the Gemini AI update sounds great in theory, but is actually really disruptive for creators who built their whole strategy around the old rules.
That's a fair pushback. And Vismo's analysis is pretty blunt about it. If you're still optimizing for the old signals, you're not just failing to grow, you're actively confusing the new algorithm. So yes, for creators who spent years mastering keyword stuffing, watch time hacks, and metadata gaming, this is a genuine disruption.
It's almost like the platform is forcing a values reset.
I think that's a really accurate way to frame it. And it connects to something in the columnist SEO guide for 2026. Google's December 2025 core update now prioritizes genuine expertise and first-hand experience in video, verifiable credentials and author authority, and original content over repurposed or AI-generated content. The whole ecosystem is moving toward authenticity as the primary currency.
Which is ironic, given that AI is the thing driving all of this.
Right? AI is being used to detect and reward human authenticity. It's a strange loop, but it makes sense when you think about what Forrester is predicting. Once AI becomes a commodity, the differentiator is the human judgment and expertise layered on top of it.
Let's talk about the shorts piece for a second, because that's a big part of the 2026 YouTube story, and it connects to the AI tools angle.
Yeah, so one of the more significant structural changes in the January 2026 update is that shorts and long-form content are now fully independent systems. They used to be linked, what happened in one affected the other. Now they're completely separate games with separate algorithms.
Why does that matter?
It matters because a lot of creators were cross-posting or using shorts as a funnel to long-form content, and the algorithm was treating that as a unified strategy. Now you have to think about them as two distinct audiences with two distinct content approaches. And on the AI tools side, YouTube is rolling out things like VO3 Fast, built with Google DeepMind, which lets creators generate video clips and effects, plus video stylization, motion capture for photos, AI-powered editing, according to Prodvigate's breakdown of the Made on YouTube announcements.
So YouTube is essentially building an AI content studio into the platform itself.
That's the direction. And there's a transparency requirement attached. Regardless of whether you use YouTube's built-in tools or third-party ones, all AI-generated content needs to be labeled Made with AI, which again connects to the governance and ethics thread from Gartner's predictions in Ted Dean's video.
It's all pointing in the same direction. Transparency, accountability, authenticity, these aren't just buzzwords anymore. They're being baked into the infrastructure.
And that's what makes the Ted Dean video interesting beyond just its predictions. It's a small channel, a modest production, a real person sharing genuine expertise. Under the old YouTube, that combination was almost a liability. Under the new one, it might actually be an asset.
There's also something worth noting about the scale of the shorts ecosystem specifically. The Coolumnist Guide mentions that YouTube processes over 70 billion daily shorts views. 70 billion per day.
Yeah, that number is hard to wrap your head around. And more than 25% of Google search results now include video snippets. So the line between YouTube and search is blurring in a way that makes the platform's AI decisions even more consequential. Because they're not just shaping what people watch, they're shaping what people find when they search for information.
Which brings us back to the video itself. Ted Dean is making predictions about AI's role in business and governance, and those predictions are now being surfaced, or not surfaced, by an AI system that's making its own judgments about what's worth showing people.
It's a genuinely strange moment. The content and the container are both being transformed by the same underlying force.
Let me ask you something that I think a lot of people are probably wondering. If you're a professional, not a creator, just someone who works in a business, what do you actually do with the predictions in this video? Like, what's the actionable takeaway?
I think the Forrester prediction is the most immediately actionable one. If AI is becoming a commodity, meaning everyone will have access to roughly the same tools, then the question isn't should I use AI, it's how do I build genuine capability with it? Ted Dean's whole framing is about real-world AI capability versus hype, and that distinction matters a lot right now.
So the people who are going to be ahead aren't the ones who adopted AI first. They're the ones who figured out how to use it well.
Exactly. And the Deloitte Agentic AI prediction adds another layer. If AI starts taking autonomous actions in your workflows, you need to understand what it's doing well enough to oversee it. You can't just hand things off and hope for the best. That's where Gartner's governance point becomes personal. It's not just about governments regulating AI, it's about individuals and organizations maintaining meaningful oversight of the AI they're using.
That's a really important point, because I think a lot of people hear agentic AI and think, great, less work for me. But the reality is more nuanced.
Much more nuanced. More autonomy in the system means more responsibility in understanding what the system is doing. The video's framing, drawing on Gartner's sovereignty and ethics angle, is essentially saying, the more powerful AI gets, the more important human judgment becomes, not less.
And that's a message that cuts against a lot of the AI will replace everything narrative that dominates the conversation.
It does. And I think that's part of why the video is worth paying attention to, even with its modest view count. It's not sensationalist. It's drawing on institutional research, Gartner, Forrester, Deloitte, Bernard Marr, Fei-Fei Li, and presenting a more measured, structural view of what's actually shifting.
Speaking of Fei-Fei Li, she's a pretty significant name to drop. She's a Stanford AI researcher, one of the most respected voices in the field. What's her angle in the video?
The video references her alongside Bernard Marr as futurists and researchers who see major disruptors on the horizon. The specific framing is that these aren't fringe predictions, they're grounded in real data, enterprise spending, and global research. The video's argument is that the convergence of these voices pointing in the same direction is itself significant.
So it's less about any single prediction and more about the pattern of agreement across very different types of experts.
That's a good way to put it. When Gartner, Forrester, Deloitte, and independent researchers like Fei-Fei Li and Bernard Marr are all pointing toward the same structural shifts, that's a signal worth taking seriously, even if the specific timelines or mechanisms differ.
Okay, so when you step back from everything we've covered, the video's predictions, the platform's transformation, the economic stakes, what does this really come down to?
I think it comes down to this. AI is no longer a novelty, and the systems around it, platforms, businesses, governments, are catching up to that reality in real time. Ted Dean's video is making that argument through the lens of Gartner, Forrester, and Deloitte. And YouTube's January 2026 overhaul is making the same argument through its algorithm. Both are saying the era of hype is over, the era of infrastructure has begun.
And the people who understand that shift, whether they're creators, business owners, or professionals, are the ones who are going to be positioned well.
Right. And the YouTube piece is actually a useful lens for understanding the broader AI shift. Because what the platform did in January 2026 is exactly what Forrester is predicting for AI in business. It stopped being a novelty feature and became the core infrastructure. The algorithm isn't a gimmick anymore, it's the foundation.
And for creators specifically, the message is pretty clear. Authenticity, genuine expertise, and viewer satisfaction are the new metrics that matter, not gaming the system.
And that's actually a hopeful message, even if the transition is disruptive. Because it means the people who were always focused on making genuinely useful content, like Ted Dean trying to explain complex AI predictions in plain language, are the ones the new system is designed to reward.
Here's what I keep coming back to. A video with 40 views from a channel with 42 subscribers, making predictions backed by some of the most credible research institutions in the world, and the platform it lives on just rebuilt its entire recommendation system to theoretically surface exactly that kind of content. Whether it actually does is the real test.
And that tension between what the system is designed to do and what it actually does is exactly the governance question Gartner is raising. Not just for YouTube, but for every AI system being deployed at scale right now.
So the video about AI's future is itself a live experiment in AI's present.
That's the most honest way to put it. And I think that's what makes it worth discussing, not just the predictions, but what the video's own existence tells us about the moment we're in.
All right, here's the thing that I think is worth sitting with. 40 views. That number is going to stick with me. Because under the old YouTube, that number meant failure. Under the new one, it might just mean the experiment is still running.
And that reframe applies way beyond YouTube. The Forrester prediction, AI as commodity, means the same thing for businesses. The early adopters who got there first aren't automatically winning anymore. The question is who builds the deepest capability, the most genuine expertise, the most trustworthy output. That's the new competition.
And the Gartner governance angle means that competition is going to happen inside an increasingly regulated environment. So it's not just about capability, it's about responsible capability.
which is why the convergence of these predictions matters. It's not one trend, it's three interlocking shifts happening simultaneously. Agentic AI changing how work gets done, commoditization changing who has access, and governance changing the rules of the game, all at once.
That's a lot to navigate, but I think the takeaway is actually pretty simple. Understand what's shifting, build real capability, and don't mistake access to AI tools for expertise in using them.
That's the core message of the video, honestly. And it's a message that applies whether you're a creator trying to figure out the new YouTube, a business owner trying to figure out AI strategy, or just someone trying to understand what's happening in the world right now.
And with that, thanks for joining us on Copilot Podcasts. 40 views. Remember that number, because the next time you see something small that's saying something important, the question isn't how many people have seen it, it's whether the people who did left satisfied.